Hi guys, welcome to the Neofinetia Falcata collection update for 2018. We're going to start off with this update with an unboxing video because I bought some Neos from South Korea. So the vendor that I bought from is, they have a website. It's called parampang.com. So we have to import it, and there's quite a bit of hassle to get it here in the United States. And there's a lot of costs associated with importation. So we had to coordinate with, we had to share the cost with a few other people. And so I got this from someone in California who actually split the order with me. So, alright, so here we go. So in addition to Neofinetia, they also sell a few other orchids, namely Sedaria japonica, and I think I bought some too. I also bought a Cymbidium goeringi. I'm going to try it again, see if it works better in this environment, because it is the cooler. There's a few plants here. It comes with a pot. So there it is. I'm going to try my hardest to make sure this one stays alive. But it has marginal variegation. So the flowers should be a standard green. I don't know what the variety is, but just sort of the standard one. I'll leave that to the side. First off here. Oh man, this is the Sedaria japonica. Look at that modeling. So this is one of the newer varieties that has been bred, I believe in South Korea. But the varietal name is there. And I don't think it's the mature size yet, but maybe it's blooming size, I don't know. But yeah, look at that modeling. That's the reason why I got it. Super, super awesome. This one is Neo. The variety name is Orihime, and it has streaky Shima variegation. So this variety is pretty old, I think, and this particular one can be propagated by seed, I think. This particular division is actually from the original, so it's super special. And the last one, I'm pretty sure, is the one that I've been waiting for a long time. I think it's a bean leaf variety. Yep, here it is. Alright, the varietal name is Mushumaru Shima, also known as Gakuzan. It has these speckles of greens on a yellow background. I wanted this for so long, but the cost was very prohibitive. And here they are, the new ones, all potted up in the traditional style. Alright, now let's take these guys to the rest of my collection upstairs. That's actually hanging out outside right now. Alright, so here they are with the rest of them. I've been keeping them out here for the past few days because it's been a lot of overcast, and so there's not a lot of direct sunlight, and it's relatively cool because of the torrential rain that we've been having for the past 3 days. But as soon as the torrential rain subsides, I think I'm going to bring that back in. I've sort of organized everything into 3 sections, so I hope that sort of makes the update video a little bit more organized and sort of quick. These are all the Neos that I don't really have anything to report on. For the most part, they are all pushing out new roots for the year. That's really good. But other than that, nothing else major to report. And over this side, this section in the middle here, it's all the ones that are sprouting new growth as far as I can tell. And the last section is all the ones that are pushing out spikes. Okay, so the first one here that we are seeing new growths on is this Neofinetia Falcata that's just labeled yellow. There are 2 growths at the base right there. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but they're growing pretty fast. I'm not really sure. I've never seen this one in bloom yet. But it's doing really well now this year, finally. We're going to move on to the next one. This is the Gojo Fukurin. And in addition to all the new roots right there, there is a tiny growth that's happening in the base. And it looks like I can sort of tell that it's starting to be variegated as well. So that's really cool. I like it especially when a single fan finally puts out a new growth. It gets me excited. Next one over here, we have Kinkuchaku, which I'm giving it quite a bit of light to bring out the variegation. It has lovely pink root tips, and there's a large growth happening on the left there. Next up, this is Borozuki. As you can see, since I've gotten it, I've gotten a all green fan right here, and then later it brought out this new fan right here. That's slightly has slight variegation, but now I see there's 2 new growths at the joint right here. There's one that's like very white. Actually, both of them are very white. This one, I'm guessing on the top here, that may be a flower spike, and this one here is probably going to be a growth, but we'll wait and see. Next up is the Rakuzan. This one's probably going to be difficult to show on camera, but it has a very small growth at the base. Right here we have my Higashi Demiako, and for the longest time it wasn't doing anything for me, but probably grew out this leaf, and then early this winter or late winter it brought out this leaf, which is growing really fast, and then I started to see these 2 roots developing, so I was really happy to see that. And now I'm starting to see a little growth happening between where this root is coming out, so that's really nice. This is my Senzai, and there's 3 individuals in here, but one of them is running all kinds of new growths. It is this one right here, and it has, let's see, at least 4 as far as I can tell, and this guy, the one next to it, also has new growths too, so a little tiny one spreading out all kinds of new growths, so I'm really happy about that. Over here on this side, this is the Kogane Nishiki, has lovely yellow leaves. So the 2 main growths here, in between there is a new growth starting, so I really like it when these neos become like large clumps, so we're moving towards that. And moving on, this tiny little guy is labeled as Tamakongo Mini, and there's actually 3 individual piled up together like that, but there's this problem since I've gotten it, that each new leaf has gotten bigger and bigger, so it's not staying true to what the label says. I was hoping it'll stay this small, but one of the leaves here, it's looking like it's becoming more and more like a regular Neo. But what I wanted to feature in this guy is the smallest growth that I have. It's putting out 3 new growths, so that's really interesting. Wait and see what that looks like. But if it gets bigger, I'm thinking about selling it. Moving on. This variety is called Junihito. It has very pointy leaves, And I've bought it with one mature fan here and then another one, a smaller one. But now I'm seeing a new fan that's occurring in between those two. Next is a relatively new one. This is Amami Nakafu, and Nakafu refers to the variegation pattern on the leaves, which is the yellow streaks. It occurs in the center of the leaves. So it's a really lovely form right there. And I can't really tell yet what it is, but there is something that's bulging out from between the leaves there. So I hope it's a new growth. That would be fantastic. But I'll take flower spike if it does. Moving on, this is Tsuruga Fukurin. I need to repot this a little bit better, but what I want to show is on the right over this side. It seems like the new growths that are popping out, it's losing its characteristic feature of the Tsuruga Fukurin variety. It's getting more and more yellow, so it might be ghosting out. If it breaks apart, it's probably not viable by itself. So it's living off of the other growths that has more chlorophyll. But for the moment, it's displaying a lot of streaks, which is very pretty. But yeah, the new growths on this side seems to be very, very yellow. And last on this row is the first bean leaf variety that I fell in love with, which is Omushu. And it's a very slow growing type. I really need to repot this so then the growth is actually pointing upwards. But it has a characteristic feature about this one is it has rounded bean leaf leaves. And if you squint your eyes really hard between the plant and the root, this one right here, there is a tiny little growth that's popping out. So that's that. Alright, so the last section of my Neos are the ones that are currently in spike. And in my experience, to tell if a new growth is either a spike or a new fan is that the flower spike tend to bulge out a little bit in the early development stages when it started slowly peeking out from the leaf joint. So if it bulges out and if it also has what best I can describe it as a tulip shape, it's probably going to be a flower spike. So these are the ones that are showing those characteristics. First up here is the Kinko Nishiki. It has a flower or new growth that developed for a very long time now. It's starting to bulge out a little bit, so that's why I'm guessing it's a flower spike. This one here is a relatively new one. This is the name is Rhino Hikari, and it has a lot of variegation that's kind of washed out. I believe this is due to the fact that it's been kept under very strong, intense light for a while. I think this variety would probably best be kept under medium to low light. So that's what I'm going to do, and hope that the variegation is going to come out a little bit better. Next is the cross between Shuteno and Kukakuden. It's the grower has named it Pink, which is kind of confusing because there's another variety, an intergeneric variety called Pinky, and it produces a pink to purple flower. It's just kind of like the Shuteno. So I'm getting 2 growths or 2 flower spikes this year, it looks like, from 2 different fans. Next is the Kabutomaru. It has a bean leaf variety. It was growing a lot of roots lately and then suddenly just kind of stopped. Maybe it's due to the fact that it's growing as flower spike and it's diverting a lot of energy to the flower spike. I don't know, but well, I mean, it looks like it's fine. Next up here, I'm gonna raise the camera a little bit so you can see it better because it's very tall. This variety is also relatively new. This is sourced from Brampang. This one is called Yamahoko. And there's a lot of new growths on the base there, in addition to a couple of flower spikes I can tell. As you can see, this one, the leaf shape sort of tends to grow upward rather than curved. So it looks really, really interesting to me. Bring the camera back. And then moving on. So this one was featured in my repotting video. This one is Kin Kabuto. I can already see 2 flower spikes at least that's developing on this multi-growth plant. So that's really nice. I've been keeping it under the highlights too to bring out the yellow, the yellow streaks. It's looking really, really nice. And last on this side is the Tamakongo. So it also, I can see 2 flower spikes and 2 mature growths as well. First, over this side we have the Hanamatoi, and this one is super special because it produces 3 spur blooms. This one is a relatively new one. It came with a developing flower spike, so I can't take credit for it. But I'm still super excited to see the flowers when it blooms. And over here, this one is also relatively new, and it's kind of super special. The name of it is Gangwang. It has very, very strong yellow variegation, and I'm told that I am one of 10 people in the world that has this particular variety, so I better not kill this one. So it's very, very super special with a very super special price. So, anyways, it came with a flower. It looks like a growth, and then it bulges out in the past week or so. So I'm thinking it's going to be a flower spike. Next is Getsuden. This one was sourced from another new grower in California who's been organizing all of my recent Neo purchases from South Korea. So I got a really good deal from this, I think. And this one, it's very interesting that the newest leaf gets a lot of variegation, and then it slowly fades into green as it matures. It came with a couple of new growths I thought was going to be a flower spike, but it turns out it's not, or at least hasn't developed or hasn't changed any much since I gotten it. But it put out this flower spike for me since I gotten it fairly quickly. So there's only 3 blooms on it at the moment, but it's still cool. Next up on this clump is Beni Kuchaku Maru, I think is the name. If it's not, it's, you know, all the names are always going to be on the screen for you. But yeah, just producing flowers spikes. This next one is Wangyang or whatever. I do not know how to say it right. This one is cool because it's producing a growth between the leaves up here, but it also put out a growth at the base next to this baby fan. So it might be one of those new fans / new flower spike combo. So that's really, really nice. And this one is Hokage. This one is sourced from another Neo grower here in the States. It's producing out 2 growths, which I'm thinking it's, or I was told it's a flower spike, I'm not really sure. But yeah, this one is supposed to have like intermittent variegation with 3 colors. Green, or the leaves are green, and it's supposed to produce pink splashes and yellow variegation, I think. So a tricolor variety, which hasn't happened yet, but you know, I'm gonna do some light experimentation, see what it likes best to bring out those colors. But for now, I'm just happy with the pink root tips that it develops, which is really, really nice. Alright, last but not least is my Kyobijin, which has also produced out new growths earlier this year, and also 1 flower spike. I'm hoping one of the mature growths here would also put out multiple flower spikes, but it turns out it's not, At least not yet. So that is it for all the plants that are currently in spike. I guess in any collection, it's inevitable that you're going to lose plants, and unfortunately, this one is my most recent one. This is my Momoyama Nishiki, and it's fairly new too. I featured it a couple of videos back, and unfortunately, it's a victim to stem rot or something because the leaves just kept falling off, and eventually the stem just, turned to a crispy brown bits like this. It's really unfortunate because I really like this one. So I just wanted to show you guys that I do have some failures here as well. I've recently came back from a trip in Japan, and I just want to show you guys some decorative pots that I purchased during that trip. And the first one here is a cymbidium pot that's beautifully decorated. So this one was purchased in Kyoto. I was there for a few days. It was purchased at a little shop that was kind of outside of the city a little bit. So as for the size, this is my hand for comparison. I don't know who the maker is, but if you happen to know by the logo here or the stamp, you can let me know. That'd be fantastic. But that's not terribly important. And in that same shop, I bought a few Tenzin. This one in particular is very, very interesting. The lattice work is hexagonal, just really, really pretty. And over here we have another Tenzin. I like the silver in the gold accents as well. Next over here, I don't know what kind of pattern this is, but it's very, very attractive. My trip in Kyoto was for only a few days, and the rest of the trip, or the rest of the time, I stayed in Tokyo. And while I was there, I stopped at a little plant shop that's on the rooftop of a Seibu Ikebukuro. And they were selling neos and other Japanese orchids and plants. And they were also selling some pots as well. I got this one from that place. It's just another Tenzin. And I'm not quite sure why I bought this one, because it looks kind of like plain. But it's still pretty beautiful. Here's another Tenzin that I bought from the same place in the Seibu. And this one is a little different because it's quite big. I believe it's about 4 or 4.5 inches on the top. So I'm probably not never going to use this because, or it will be a while before I use this one because most of my neos are like single growths or just a few fans. So this is probably going to be for like larger clumps or specimen size neos. And this one was purchased at the same place. It's not a Tenzin. It's I don't know who the maker is, but we're thinking it might be Mitsuhashi, if I'm saying that name correctly. it's a very, very tiny pot. And the only markings that I have is just this label that was attached to the rim of the pot. But in any event, it was kind of pricey for the size. Like 2 times the cost of the Tencent, which is already pricey enough, but I just love it because it's so cute and tiny, and the color of the glaze is very pleasing to me too. So this is definitely for a smaller size Neo, like a beanie or something, a bean leaf variety. And in addition to that, I've also ordered some pots that was recently made available through parampung.com, which is an online seller of Neos. Alright, so they're all Tencent in these sort of taller type sides. This one here is really, really pretty, like the red, the blue, and the gold together. Alright, so this is where I keep all of my Neopots, the decorative ones. I bought this really bookcase from IKEA just to store these guys here. But yeah, I'll end up the update here. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.